Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful jacket you can see right here. So this tutorial is only going to be for the jacket. I also made the gown, but I don't have a tutorial on that. So if you're interested to see how to make this beautiful jacket, please keep on watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and let's go straight into the video. So guys, for this you are going to have a piece of paper folded into two. Okay, it should be folded into two. Then I'm going to rule a line, which is going to be my starting point. You can rule a line if you want or not. So my shoulder to waist is 15 inches. Then I added half inch for stitching allowance. So now I'm just going to calculate my shoulder measurement divided by 2. So I'm just going to take that is 7.5. So I just drew a line there, just a small line. Then for my neckline, I'm going to come down by 3 inches. Then the width, I also want it to be 3 inches. So the length is 3 inches, the width is 3 inches. Then I'm just going to connect that into a curve. So where I'm doing my neckline is from the folded part of the fabric. Okay, so I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope or my shoulder slant. Then I'm just going to take that 1 inch to the neckline as shown. So now from there I'm going to come down to my armhole measurements. Can you see? So my armhole measurement is 7.5. Then my bust measurement, my bust point is 10 inches. Then my waist will be 15 inches. So I just use the full length, the fabric as my full length. I'm just going to rule those lines across and also the other line. So I'm going to run a straight line from the shoulder slant down to the armhole length. So if your armhole and your bust point are the same thing, there will be no need to do a two line. So I'm just going to impute my bust measurement divided by 4, and that was 7.5. So I just make the point there for 7.5. I'm going to add 2 inches for stitching allowance. Then I added 1 inch for ease. Okay, I just needed a little bit of ease. It should not be too tight on your body. So is that you can see I marked it. I marked my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease and 2 inches for sewing allowance. So this was my bust point, but I forgot it was my bust point, and I imputed my waist measurement, but I later figured that out. So I just I corrected my mistake. Then on the waistline also you are going to do the same thing. Your waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches for stitching allowance and also 1 inch for ease. So I'm going to measure what I have there from the shoulder slant down to the line, and I had about 4. I don't really know what I had, but just measure it. Then from there I'm going to go in by half inch. Then I'm going to connect the shoulder slope, the half inch, all the way to the last line I made there. Did you see what I just did? I hope you understand what I did. So this was when I realized my mistake. Then I just put my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease, and then 2 inches for stitching allowance. The stitching allowance can be anything you want. It can be 1 inch, but just make it anyhow you want, and make sure you add ease because this is a jacket. It should not be too tight on your body. So I'm just going to connect that like that, as you can see me do, and then that's basically all for this. Okay, that's all. I'm just going to cut this out. So guys, I've gone ahead to cut it out, and I'm just going to do the same thing for the back piece. So I've cut everything out on the back piece, but for the neckline it's going to be different. So I just drew the line there. then I came down by 1.5 inch. The line I made is from the shoulder slope straight like that, so I'm just going to connect that like this. The width is still the same thing. Can you see what I'm doing? The neckline from the back and front are always different. So can you see how I just made this slant, and that is just the only difference. Everything else you cut it out the same, but the neckline, please guys, don't cut it out the same. So I'm just going to cut that out, then just cut out the shoulder, and then that'll be all for the front piece and also the back piece. So for my back piece, you saw that I didn't have any stitching allowance. There's nothing like that because this is a jacket. It doesn't need zipper. I didn't have a zipper because it doesn't need zipper. So for my front piece, I'm going to slant it. I'm going to cut it into two. Know that this is what we normally do for the back piece when we're cutting a gown or blouse, but this one will be different. So guys, I have my front piece, my two front pieces, and I also have my back piece. So I'm using a lining for this. I'm just going to cut out the lining for both the front and the back, and I'm just going to stitch them together. So I'm making a line so I know which one is the front and the back, so I don't get confused when I'm stitching it down. I'm just going to cut this from my front my lining pieces, then I'll show you guys. So this is the lining piece. I have already cut it out, so I just put them right sides facing each other. Then I first sew on the neckline. Please first sew on your neckline, don't mind what I'm demonstrating here. Sew on your neckline, then sew the sides. Then I'm going to show you how you are going to connect both the shoulder of the front and back together. Do that for the other pieces, then I'll show you guys what's next to do. So guys, this is, I've already sewed the shoulder together. So first sew the neckline, then you are going to open up your fabric, I hope like this. So you now place both the front and the back shoulder together, the lining together, then the fabric together. They should be right sides together. Then once you sew it down, when you open it up, you see that the seam is gone. You will not see it anywhere. So I was also supposed to sew the down part, but I actually forgot to do that, so I'm just going to sew the down part also. So guys, it is time to cut out our sleeve. So I'm just going to measure around the armhole. You know that this armhole already has our stitching allowance and ease, and that's 23 inches after I divided it. So it already has our sewing allowance and also the ease. So we're just going to fold our fabric now into two, just as you can see me sewing it, like folding it. So fold your fabric into two like this. Make sure it is enough to cut out the sleeve measurement divided by 2. Okay, once it's the width should be about your armhole measurement divided by 2. Then the length should be the length 1 plus stitching allowance. So I was just trying to measure if it was enough. It wasn't enough, so I just adjusted it so it will be enough to cut out what I need it for. So at this point it was enough to cut my sleeve, so I'm just going to do that. So I've already drew a line here, which is my starting line. So from there we're going to measure the armhole divided by 2, which was 11.5. So I just put that 11.5 there, made a line. Then I came down by 4 inches. If you are a bigger person, please come down by 4.5 or 5 inches. So from the dash line down to my full length is, I think, 10 inches. Then I added 1 inch for stitching allowance. Okay, can you see I added like 1.5 inch for stitching allowance. So as you can see, from this is now my line. I have the starting line, my bicep line, and the full length. So on the bicep line, you saw that I added my bicep divided by 2, but that is not really necessary. So you should only do that on the line from the last line, which will be the round measurement. divided by 2. Then you're going to add 2 inches sewing allowance, then I added 1 inch for ease. So this was from my shoulder to like on under my bicep, because I wanted a small sleeve, nothing too long. So while I was doing that, so you saw I did it on the bicep line, but you don't necessarily need the bicep line for this. So I'm just going to connect a curve like this to just go down from the starting line down to the bicep line. So I'm just trying to show you guys the curve. If you have a curve rule, you can actually use that. I actually have one, but I just wanted to show you in case you do not have it. So we're just going to make sure that the shoulder line and that line are matching each other. You can actually measure it to be sure that it's 11.5 inches there. So that was just it. We're just going to connect it like that. I'm just trying to make it more visible. Then you're going to connect it down to the last line, which is your hemming line. So that's all for the sleeve. I'm just going to cut it out and also cut it on the other piece. Okay, fold the fabric into 2 again and cut for the other piece. Okay, so this is it now after we've opened it up. I'm just going to cut that for the second one. So I just want to show you guys how you will attach your armhole to your sleeve. So you're going to notch your sleeve, notch it, and make sure your fabric is facing you, the right side is facing you. Notch your sleeve so that it will be easy for you. We're just going to place the sleeve and the armhole right sides facing each other. We're just going to sew from that notch to one side. Can you see how I'm placing it for you? You can actually pin this down before sewing it if you want. Then after sewing one side, you pin it down, and after you sew one side, just do the same thing for the other side, and that'll be all. Okay, then we're going to do the sleeve. We're going to sew the sleeve. Can you see the hem? I already sewed the hem down, and this is it. I've done it for one side and also the other side. So it is that simple. So we're just going to fold the fabric now into our jacket. It is already coming together, so I folded it into 2 like this. We are going to input our measurements. So my bust measurement divided by 4 is 7.5 inches. So from one of the front piece, I just measured 7.5 inches. So it is better to measure from one of it like this. Can you see, from one end, measure my 7.5 inches, then I measured my 1 inch that I left for my ease. So can you see, that's how you get it. Measure your from one of the end of the sleeve, measure your bust divided by 2, then measure your ease allowance. We're going to do that for the waist and also for the other side. So guys, I have done that for the other side. For our sleeve, we're just going to measure the length, the round measurement of the sleeve. Then we're just going to add our 1 inch for ease. Then we're just going to connect that together. Can you see what I'm doing? Just measure it. Make sure you measure the round measurement of the sleeve, of the end of the sleeve, okay, of the end of the length you were going for. We're just going to connect the bust line to the other line. Then I'll do that for the other side. We're just going to stitch that down, then I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So you can see I already sewed the end of my sleeve. So guys, can you see I've already sewed the sleeve and the sleeve is ready. So this is actually the end of the video. It is a very simple thing to do. It is very simple. Then I also trimmed the excess threads on the armhole. So now when we turn it to the right side, you can see we have a perfect looking jacket. So guys, you can also use a press button at the end of the dress and also at the top if you want. It is not that necessary, but if you want, you can do that. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below, turn on the notification bell when you subscribe. And this is the end result, this is the final result of the jacket. Can you see how beautiful this looks? I'm so proud of myself for doing this because this is the first time I'm sewing a jacket. But I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below. I love you guys so much. Till my next video, bye.